I began to realize that because after doing it on the side for 1 year as a side hustle or a side business, I started noticing that I was making more money doing calligraphy than my corporate job. The one thing I tried to do was be very realistic from day one, which is why I said I didn't quit my full time job until I went months and months and months knowing that, okay, I really see potential with my calligraphy business. Whenever, I get younger um, students, so like, people who've just finished college, who are starting their professional journeys, ask me questions, the one thing I say is, if possible and if you can, please work for someone before you start your own business. I think everyone's idea of success is so different, and what success means to them is so different. Today, for me, I was lucky to find my calling or my passion, and I was able to build a business around it. I think for me, money became a byproduct. I was never chasing money, I was chasing excellent work, good quality work, recognition in my field. Um, and by doing all of that, the money came.
Hello, Sassy Nari. Welcome to Little Fixes podcast. And thank you so much for joining me. This is your host, Matri. On this podcast, we talk about mental health, relationships, freedom, and personal growth. So, most of us have hobbies, but not all of us indulge in them regularly because we have seemingly more important things to do. पर सोचो कितना मजा आए अगर हमारी हॉबी ही हमारा काम बन जाए या वो हर वक्त फन नहीं होगा क्योंकि ये प्रैक्टिकल भी नहीं है पर स्टिल इट विल बी एक्साइटिंग इफ यू मोनेटाइज अ हॉबी मे बी आप क्रोशे में अच्छे हैं या यू मेक ग्रेट वाटर कलर पेंटिंग्स एंड यू वांट टू शेयर योर गिफ्ट्स विद द वर्ल्ड पर आप सोचते हैं कि अरे आर्ट तो प्रेशियस होती है या हम सोच लेते हैं कि आर्ट में पैसा नहीं है और सक्सेस मुश्किल है बट माय डियर फ्रेंड मुश्किल क्या नहीं है तो चलो आज खुद को थोड़ा सा पंप अप करते हैं विद अ स्टोरी ऑफ एन आर्टिस्ट संजना चतलानी यूज टू वर्क इन लग्जरी ब्रांड मैनेजमेंट एंड शी लव्ड हर जॉब और उन्होंने कैलीग्राफी को एज अ हॉबी स्टार्ट किया बट शी फेल सो मच इन लव विद इट कि अ फ्यू इयर्स डाउन द लाइन शी क्विट हर जॉब और अब उनकी आर्ट ही उनका बिजनेस है और कोई छोटा मोटा बिजनेस नहीं है शी रन्स द वेरी वेल नोन बॉम्बे लेटरिंग कंपनी अ बुटीक कैलीग्राफी एंड डिजाइन स्टूडियो केटरिंग टू लग्जरी वेडिंग्स इवेंट्स एंड celebrations. So, what started off as a creative outlet and passion project led her to discover a niche career path for herself. So, getting the feels? तो चलो फिर संजना से जानते हैं कि उनकी क्या जर्नी रही कैसे उन्होंने कैलीग्राफी को ओवर अ स्टेबल जॉब चूज किया और कैसे आप सक्सेसफुली अपनी आर्ट को मोनेटाइज कर सकते हैं एंड यस बिफोर हियरिंग फ्रॉम संजना please support Little Fixes by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing it with a friend. Hi, Sanjana. Welcome to Little Fixes.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and thanks for having me.
So, Sanjana, I've been really excited about this episode because your profession, when I came across your page on Instagram, I was like, अच्छा ऐसा भी हो सकता है. Like it was something very different for me because मैंने obviously artist बहुत तरीके के देखे बट मुझे नहीं लगता था कि कैलीग्राफी कैन बी अ प्रोफेशन और मतलब मुझे लगता था हाँ इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ थेरेपी आपको अच्छा लगता है या फिर यू एंजॉय इट बट व्हेन आई सॉ योर वर्क आई वाज वेरी मच इम्प्रेस्ड सो आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम यू व्हाट हैज़ बिन योर जर्नी बिकॉज मुझे नहीं लगता कि यू स्टार्टेड एज अ कैलीग्राफर फ्रॉम द एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ योर करियर
Right. Maitri, it's so funny you say this because never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be a professional artist, let alone calligrapher. And I don't think it's something that, a child while growing up will have an aspiration saying, I want to be a calligrapher when I grow up. I don't think any of us had that. I uh, finished my undergrad in from Mumbai University. I was studying media and communications, and I got my first job with a French wines and spirits company, which was under the LVMH group. And
Mm.
I was quite certain that I wanted to do luxury brand management. And that was a great first job. And I was doing marketing and branding with an excellent team. And that was my first sort of role in my professional world. And I worked over there for about 3.5 years until I happened to discover lettering, doodling, calligraphy online on Instagram, because I used to sit in my meetings at work and I used to love writing out motivational quotes or writing out some, positive affirmations. And I happened to just stumble upon an account on Instagram of a lettering artist in the US. And I think that sucked me in. It was like a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I started copying stuff. I started looking for more artists. And I was really enjoying writing and drawing and lettering with no agenda, no even thought of what is calligraphy, what can I do with it. I think it was just very like a creative outlet, something that I was doing when I was bored, and just that. Until, I think a couple months passed by, I was still very, very certain about uh, my journey in the corporate world. I began studying for my GMAT to go for an MBA abroad, and I was quite keen to climb up the corporate ladder. But I think on the side, I kept exploring the world of lettering and calligraphy. And that's when I happened to come across a calligraphy retreat in Italy in 2018, 2017. And without knowing anything, I just signed up for it. And I went for a 1 week retreat where actually we were being taught by one of the best calligraphers in the world. She's a master penman from Italy. And I got to interact with 20 other calligraphers from all over the world. And I was the baby in the group. I was the newest person. Everyone else had been doing calligraphy for some time. And I think that's when I got introduced into this world. And I think
Mm.
that was my moment where I said, okay, wow. As kids, we've all probably done a class in school, but that's about it. We never thought it could be taken as a serious art form or a serious profession. And I think for me, that's when my journey began to explore the world of calligraphy a lot more. And I kept doing it. I started an Instagram page just to post pictures of my work for my just for myself, until I started getting some traction and people started being very fascinated, very intrigued. And I started getting inquiries from friends and family saying, can you write these gift tags for me? Can you write out this poem for me? Can you handwrite these letters? And that's when I started taking on very small projects for my friends and family, but I was always doing it on the side of my full time job. So that's how it started for me in 2017.
Okay. So that was way back, or Abhi, I
Yeah,
think it's been 5 years of
yeah,
your
5, 6
Bombay
years.
lettering
Yeah,
also. Then
yeah,
how did you make the transition? Because you just said that you used to love your job, and I'm sure
yeah,
you were
yeah,
very happy there, and still you
yeah,
explored this. Because mostly क्या
yeah.
होता है, जब हमें अपनी जॉब अच्छी नहीं लगती है तब हम कोई और चीज़ एक्सप्लोर
Exactly.
करते हैं, और हमें बताया जाता है कि जॉब छोड़ो बिजनेस में आओ, बट आपके साथ ऐसा नहीं था. तो what
Mine
made
too
you
was the
make
hardest
that shift?
decision because I loved
हाँ,
both. And I
हाँ.
think for me, in the beginning, I said, you know what, I think I want to do both. I want to keep my full time, but I want to keep my calligraphy business as my side hustle. And I want to see if I can just do both. But I think as time went by, I began to realize that if I really want to excel at one of them, I have to pick a path. And I could see the potential with my calligraphy business because after doing it on the side for 1 year as a side hustle or a side business, I started noticing that I was making more money doing calligraphy than my corporate job. And I realized I was enjoying it a lot more. I was loving it. I was giving it my everything. And while I loved both, I said, I think it's time to pick a path. And there's no right or wrong. If my calligraphy business doesn't work, I can always go back into the corporate world. I was 25. So I said, if I need to take a chance and a risk, now is the time. And it was a very hard decision. I sat with my boss at my previous company and literally broke down. I said, I don't know what to do. I know the idea of growing with a company as great as LVMH would be amazing. But there's this thing inside me, and I've started something which is very unique. It's very different. I'm getting the response that, very positive response. I want to see what I can do with it. And her, along with a lot of people around me who, close to me, they all pushed me saying, give this a shot. It's your passion. You don't want to live with a regret. Just go all out, see what you can do with it, and then take it from there. So it was end 2018 that I decided to quit my job and go full time with the Bombay Lettering Company. And even at that time, it was just me as an individual. But I began to think of the possibility of growing it into something bigger. That's why I said, okay, from day one, I want to call it the Bombay Lettering Company. I want it to be larger than me. I want it to be something that's bigger than me. So I remember even right in the beginning, if someone would call me for an inquiry, I would respond saying, "Oh, let me check with the team and get back to you." There was no team; it was just me. I feel like so from the beginning, I always then started sort of manifesting it to be a company, something larger than me, something that could grow and blossom into um, just a beautiful business. I didn't know anything. I didn't have a 5-year plan. I didn't have a 10-year plan. I was just winging it, going like each day at a time. And I said, let's just see where this journey takes me. And I was very like fluid. I was okay to go along the way and see what opportunities would come my way and just embrace them. And I think that's how I just started.
Mm-hmm. You said that you were making more money with calligraphy compared to your business. पर उसके बाद भी बिजनेस में श्योरिटी नहीं होती है, स्पेशली व्हेन यू आर एट अ वेरी स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. तो फिर आपने चूज कैसे किया कि यू सेड कि हाँ आपने डिसीजन लिया कि यू कैन ऑलवेज कम बैक टू योर जॉब. इट वाज मे बी अ लॉजिकल चॉइस एंड आई मीन आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट वाज गोइंग इन योर हेड. लॉजिकल हो या इमोशनल हो या कुछ और, कैसे अगर मान लीजिए किसी और को भी ये डिसाइड करना है तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, कैसे डिसाइड कर सकते हैं?
So, I will tell you, I feel like I was lucky and privileged to be staying with my parents in my parents' house. I was not paying rent. I was not living on my own where I had to fend for myself in a lot of ways. So I do appreciate and value that a lot because, I had that sort of comfort key. Okay, I need to take care of myself and my business and my needs. And at the time, I had saved up enough money for myself for the last 6 months of from my job and my calligraphy to know that okay, I can give myself 6 to 8 months wherein financially I'm okay without a salary coming in. I'm okay to take this risk. I'm okay to take this chance. And all the money I had saved up from doing calligraphy as my side business is what I basically began to pump in to start my business. I did not start with a capital. I did not take a loan. I did not ask my father for any money. I basically just used the money that I had started earning as my side business to then start the business in terms of all the legalities, all the small things. And it, unlike maybe some other businesses where you need to invest something in to start, I invested nothing except for my tools, my supplies, my the one trip that I took to Italy for that course, but that was the best thing I did. And I worked from home for the first 2 years. I
Mhm.
only got my first studio in 2020 when I knew that even for that decision, I began to take rent a studio when I knew that I had 1 years of rent already in my bank account. I said, if I can manage that, I'm not stressing month on month that, oh my God, can we cover our overheads? Can we pay our rent? I said, no, let me make sure that for a whole year, I have enough to take care of my overheads. That's the day I'll even go out there and get an office. So I feel like I did things very slowly. I didn't rush. I went at a very slow pace. I hired my first employee 1.5 years in when I really needed an assistant. So that was the first person I got. We also worked remote. So I didn't take on more than I could chew. And I felt like I began to take things on step by step by step when I knew I could do it. So maybe in another case, I could have grown much faster uh, when I look back. But today I'm okay with the pace we're at because I know I did things slowly but the right way. And I didn't have too much to lose if my business didn't go the way I wanted it to go, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, thanks for being honest. कि जो आपका process था वो you had certain privileges and then still you went slow. जबकि कई बार लोग कहते हैं ना कि बस जंप इन हेड फर्स्ट करो, जैसे ही आपका बिजनेस ज़्यादा मत सोचो, बट आई थिंक दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग हैज़ नाउ कम कि आपको सोच समझ के डिसीजन लेना चाहिए एंड दैट्स व्हाट यू आल्सो डिड. तो दैट वाज अ ग्रेट डिसीजन एंड देन यू monetized what you were interested in, kind of you monetized your hobby. तो जब हम आर्ट को मोनेटाइज करने की बात करते हैं, देन एक तो पहली बात तो थॉट प्रोसेस लोगों में होता है कि इसको आप नहीं कर सकते, बट आपने किया, आप और सक्सेसफुल रहे. तो हाउ हाउ कैन वी डू इट, लाइक अगर कोई क्रिएटिव पर्सन है, दे वांट टू मोनेटाइज देयर आर्ट, तो आप उसको कैसे करना चाहिए, लाइक क्योंकि एक बैलेंस चाहिए होता है. लोग बोलते हैं ना कि आर्ट आर्ट है, उसको बिजनेस से जोड़ना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. तो ये जो दो चीज़ें हैं, इनको मिलाना, तो हाउ डिड यू डू दैट एंड हाउ डिड यू बैलेंस बोथ साइड्स ऑफ इट? क्योंकि कुछ डिसीजंस हम बिजनेस के लिए लेते हैं बिकॉज वी वांट टू अर्न अ सर्टेन अमाउंट, हमें अपना बिजनेस ग्रो करना है, पर हम अपना जो आर्ट्सी साइड है वो भी नहीं छोड़ना चाहते, तो पर्सनल फुलफिलमेंट है वो भी रखना है. हाउ डू यू बैलेंस दिस?
Okay, I think that's a lot packed into one question. I'm gonna try. I everything you said, I had like so much to speak about because it is hard. It wasn't easy. But I'll tell you, just to backtrack a little bit from the previous topic point we were discussing, that the one thing I tried to do was be very realistic from day one, which is why I said I didn't quit my full time job until I went months and months and months knowing that, okay, I really see potential with my calligraphy business. I didn't let go of my full time job. So I made sure I was being very, maybe conservative and very realistic before just quitting my job to dive into something that I'm passionate about. And also realistic in the sense that, ठीक है, am I love this art form, I really enjoy it, but am I good at it? Can I do it on days I'm even not in the mood to do it? Because when you're doing something as a hobby or a passion or an art form, you do it in at your time when you're in the mood to do it. But when you're doing it as a business, doesn't matter, your mood can go out of the window, but you have to meet a deadline for a client and you have to get it done. So you have to get that professional approach, that sense of treating it now like a business also. And I asked myself a lot of these hard questions of, what is it that I really want? Am I okay to do this even on the days it gets tough? Am I so I tried to be as realistic about it as I could, and I think that really helped me. So I think right in the beginning, I started doing projects and work for very specific things, like for events, for corporates, for the luxury brands, where the calligraphy was used as a form of communication. So I automatically became a commercial calligrapher. And I wasn't looking at calligraphy as a form of creating art, like art pieces, or, that's something I do plan to explore, but maybe in a couple of years. There are, tons of artists today who as calligraphers, create art that's up on your wall at home. And I feel that's a very different side of it. Today, the work we do is very much based on a client's brief that's given to us. It could be for wedding invitations, it could be a handwritten poem that someone wants to gift someone else. It could be name tags for a brand that's sending out gifts to their clients. It could be, so think very specific uses. Uh, and in the beginning, I would show people the commercial applications of calligraphy and I would show them how it's done and explain to them visually how we could work for them. Because a lot of times the audience wouldn't quite understand calligraphy and the use of calligraphy commercially. So I think that's what we were able to do pretty well. And to touch upon the next point, where we've spoken about balancing between an art form and a business, I think over the years that's the one struggle I've had. That's something I've found challenging to balance, because as an artist, or as someone trying to build a business around a skill or an art form, you have to constantly be upskilling, you have to constantly be learning, practicing, getting better at your craft, because your business is based on your craft. And for me, on the other hand, trying to be a business owner, expanding and growing, I have to pull away sometimes from the day to days and focus on putting systems in place and growing, nurturing, expanding the business and the team. So I do find it challenging. And a lot of people ask me, they say, but if you want to grow your business, you're going to have to step away from being the artist doing the day to day job, and you'll have to hire people. And I think I've realized that I want to still be the calligrapher. I want to still be the artist, but still find a way to, grow the business and the team as well. And I think it's also about being realistic. Like you said, people don't realize and don't know to what extent can I grow my art business. And for me, I could see the ceiling, that glass ceiling. I could see my limitations if I was only a calligrapher. I could do brilliantly as an individual artist, but I think my vision was to build a company and a team. So to do that, we had to expand our offerings beyond calligraphy, which is why now we are a design studio where we take on printing, designing, packaging, and move into, complementary spaces and fields around calligraphy to expand our offerings, expand our client base, and expand our overall business. Because I know that if I was doing just calligraphy, I may not be able to reach certain levels that I would want to otherwise. So I think those were conscious decisions that I took also to 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 expand the business.
और बिजनेस ग्रो करना एक अलग चीज़ है और अ, हर बट उसके बाद भी आई थिंक हम हर प्रोजेक्ट को यस नहीं कह सकते। आई एम श्योर अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क कम्स योर वे विच यू डू नॉट टेक अप एंड इट्स नॉट अबाउट जस्ट मनी। कई बार होता है कि हम नहीं लेना चाहते, तो हाउ डू यू डिसाइड व्हाट टू से यस टू एंड व्हाट टू लेट गो ऑफ?
That's an interesting question. In the beginning, we would say yes to everything because you want to,
हाँ।
for various reasons. You want to make money, you want to see what you enjoy, what you're good at. And, I started like only calligraphy, then I started saying yes to everything. And now I feel like I'm funneling back in because now we know what we don't want to do and we're coming back into certain specializations. But I burnt my fingers many times, took on projects I really shouldn't have. And I think it's fine that we did that because we had to learn through that way. But today, I'm very conscious of the projects we take on. The time I would say no is when the timelines don't match with. So one scenario is if the timelines don't match with our timelines, and if it's extremely rushed and it's something I know we just can't do justice to, I would walk away from it. Another time I would say no to a project is when the aesthetic is just not matching our aesthetic, our vibe, and our way of working. There are a lot of times, you'll say, no, 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 it's okay. Let's give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. But I think what I've realized along the way is that if my gut is telling me this is not a fit, it's not a match, it doesn't matter how much they're going to pay you, it's going to be a nightmare for you and the client. So, in fact, there are times someone has reached out to me with a very specific vision, and I've been very honest saying, I don't think I can do this for you because it's really not our style of working, but I can connect you to someone else who might help you and might be able to do a great job. And I've actually passed on the work to another invitation designer or another artist who I feel could have been a better fit. So I feel, just realizing what you can do, what you can't do, what you're very good at, what you want to stay away from, those are the things we've realized over time. And Another thing I tell the team always, when we would say no to a project, is budget. Obviously, sometimes when the budget doesn't match us, we would say no.
Mhm.
And the last one is, we call this the kindness clause, and we
Mm.
actually put it in our contracts, wherein if a client, a planner, does not just talk to us or deal with my team in a respectful way, uh,
Mm.
we can at any point decide to walk out of that project. So there's no
Mm.
tolerance for, being spoken to badly or anything like that. Because I feel in the event industry, you can have, it's very stressful as well. And there are times where you have very rude clients, you have people who just don't know how to speak properly. And for us,
Mhm.
that's zero tolerance. So we call it the kindness clause. If you're not kind to us, we don't want to work with you and we don't want your money. So these are a few moments when I know that we have to walk away or we got to say no, but it's very hard. Learning how to say no has been the hardest thing, I think, for me, because I'm a
Uh,
people's pleaser. I used to say yes, yes, yes to everything, and I didn't know how to say no, but I think I'm getting better at it.
यस आई थिंक वी गेट बेटर एट इट विद टाइम बिकॉज मैंने भी अपना जो मेरा सोशल मीडिया बिजनेस है उसमें मैंने शुरू में ऐसा किया हुआ है व्हेन आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड आउट एंड समवन वाज नॉट हैप्पी विद माय प्राइसिंग कि इतना ज़्यादा प्राइस क्यों ले रहे हो तो आई वुड लोअर माय प्राइस आई वुड ऑफर मोर सर्विसेज बिकॉज आई वाज सो डेस्परेट टू गेट मोर क्लाइंट्स और फिर उसके बाद विद इन अ मंथ आई यूज्ड टू बी लाइक कि मैंने क्यों लिया और बिकॉज़ आई वाज़ वेरी न्यू तो आई ऑल्सो डिड नॉट वांट टू लेट गो ऑफ इट। तो वो जो आई थिंक फाइट होती है ना अपने अंदर ही चल रही होती है, इट इज़ द वर्स्ट फाइट। तो
But I think in the beginning, we have to do it.
या
We
इनिशियली
all do
करना
it.
ही
Yeah.
यस,
Yeah.
यस। तो संजना हम लोग बिज़नेस की बात कर रहे हैं बट यू हैव बीन अ कॉर्पोरेट एम्प्लॉयी तो हैज़ योर कॉर्पोरेट एक्सपीरियंस हेल्प्ड यू इन योर बिज़नेस इन एनी वे?
100%. Whenever, I get younger um, students, so like, people who've just finished college, who are starting their professional journeys, ask me questions. The one thing I say is, if possible, and if you can, please work for someone before you start your own business.
हुँ,
Because the learnings you get when you work under someone else are invaluable. And I have learned everything from just understanding different people, people's emotions, different personalities, learning how to work disciplined under a boss. Things like being on time, writing the right form of emails, dealing with people, all kinds of people. And I feel like there were so many things I was able to learn from my corporate job that really helped me with Bombay Lettering, because the first thing people think when you're an artist, they think artist meaning they're not professional. No,
या,
artists are in their own world. Artists don't adhere to timelines. They just are working at their own time and pace. And the one thing I was super careful about was, no matter what happens, I want to make sure we are very professional from day one. And even
हुँ,
though we are a design studio, we are based on calligraphy and an art form. When we do business and we deal with our clients, we need to make sure that they have the best experience ever, and we are as professional as we can be. And I guess those were things I also learned from my corporate job. And the one big thing was, when I was working at Moet Hennessy, I I was working on a brand called Shandon. It's a sparkling wine
हुँ,
that we launched in India. And I was on the team building and growing the brand in India, and it was very young. So all my learnings were about brand building and creating a strong brand. And I feel like subconsciously those were the learnings I took when I started Bombay Lettering to build my brand as well.
हुँ।
So definitely feel like working for a corporate, working for a company, working for someone is so important, and the learnings you have there will help you everywhere after that also.
Yes, yes. And Sanjana, you picked entrepreneurship over a job, but still, do you think that one is easier than the other?
No, I don't think so. I think they're both so different and there are pros and cons.
Hmm.
I think everyone's idea of success is so different, and what
Hmm.
success means to them is so different. Today, for me, I was lucky to find my calling or my passion, and I was able to build a business around it. But I don't think I would have been less happy if, say, I continued to climb the corporate ladder and had a great, job with my previous company, I'm sure it would have been great. I'm sure I would have been happy. I think it's making the most of wherever you are and whatever sort of situation you are in. I do know that finding something you love and being able to build and grow it and see it do well is the most rewarding feeling. I don't think anything can beat that. And uh, for me, it's been such that there have been ups and downs. It's not like it's always been rosy. It's been really hard. It's been tough. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And I keep saying this today to, people around me that I also understand that uh, I'm 31 today. I'm not married. I am single. My responsibilities towards, family, home might be a little less compared to someone else. That's also why I can put in the time, energy, effort into my business right now because it's my main priority. But maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, that might shift and I might have to start balancing things out. I may not be able to put in the amount of time I'm putting in today into my business. Right now, it is my baby. I'm giving it my everything. I'm growing it and I'm, just wholeheartedly working towards it. But I'm obviously aware of the fact that life happens and everyone's pace of building their own businesses can be different because of the scenarios and the situations they are in their lives.
हम्म। यस डेफिनेटली संजना, सबके सिचुएशंस डिफरेंट होती हैं और हमें सोशल मीडिया पे या कहीं भी दूसरे की लाइफ को देखकर ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए ओ दे हैव बेटर दैन मी। आई मीन वी आर ऑल प्रोन टू दिस एंड आई एम श्योर वी मोस्ट ऑफ अस डू दिस ऑल्सो कि कुछ देख लिया ओ ही हैज दैट काश मेरे पास भी होता बट वी डोंट नो व्हाट दे आर
Exactly.
लैकिंग और व्हाट दे आर डूइंग
Exactly.
फॉर दैट तो those
Yeah.
comparisons are never good. So Sanjana, you said that everybody's definition of success is different. I want to know what is your definition of success at this point of your life?
I think for me, money became a byproduct. I was never chasing money. I was chasing excellent work, good quality work, recognition in my field. Um, and by doing all of that, the money came. And I
Hmm.
felt like the way I even started my business was when I started calligraphy, it was my intentions were very pure to learn an art form and just explore it wholeheartedly with no uh, not wanting anything in return. What I see today with a lot of people wanting, with calligraphy especially, they come to me saying, "Oh wow, I also want to start a business," but they've never
Hmm.
actually done calligraphy before. But they just look at it as an opportunity to start a business and make money. And I feel like that for me was a bit flawed and wrong in an art form because you can think about monetizing it much later on when you've actually mastered it, you've gotten good at it, then you can think about the monetary gains of it. So for me, in the beginning, success was mastering this art form. Success was, just being amazing at it, being able to deliver like beautiful work. Obviously, then over time it evolved to me. Now, success is being known as one of the best stationery and design studios in India, doing great work for great clients. And I guess for at least the foreseeable future, it would be to build and grow a team of very talented people doing exceptional work, very unique, very different, in and outside India. Knowing that we are a design studio specializing in calligraphy and lettering, which is quite unique, and not too many people are doing that as well. So and for me success is also having a team of people and growing and building a company, whereas for
Mhm.
someone else success could just be an artist who can sit out of a beach and work remote all day long, and that's their idea of success,
Mhm.
so I guess, yeah, kind of at least what I'm thinking right now.
यस एंड मैं ये जो आपने बोला ना कि यू वेंट आफ्टर एक्सेलेंस तो मुझे याद आया वो थ्री इडियट्स में एक डायलॉग था कि एक्सेलेंस के पीछे भागो कामयाबी झक मार के तुम्हारे पीछे आएगी तो आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट यू
Yeah,
आल्सो डू
yeah, it's
ओके
really, and I
और
tell the team all the time, it's just head down and work. Don't look around, don't look at everyone else. Let's just compare ourselves to us yesterday and just keep trying to get better. And that's all that matters. And so, even with the team and in the office, we're never looking at our competitors or who's doing what. We are just so engrossed in our world, and that's just how it's been.
I was just going to ask you, how do you look at competition? How do you take competition? Now, can you elaborate on that a little?
So, on one hand, what's happened is that the business model we've built for ourselves is so unique that I don't have a direct competitor because there is nobody in India today doing exactly what we do. Because we are split between two industries. Because now we are calligraphers and we run a calligraphy studio, but I can't only compare myself to calligraphers because the other calligraphers out there do only calligraphy. But the other half or other part of our business is a design studio where we are doing a lot of graphic design, illustration, stationery, printing, designing, packaging, branding for companies and brands as well. So it's basically split, and there are two industries I would say we are a part of, but there isn't any other company who does the exact same thing that we do. So I do look at competition from the calligraphy angle. I do look at competition from the wedding invitation angle, but it's all different. And I realized that, you know what, I don't want to compare because our journey is so different and so unique. Uh, I do want to have colleagues in the industry. I want to have a community. So in the calligraphy world, we've really built a very strong community, which I love. And I always talk about community over competition. I always talk about, you know, building that and not being threatened by each other. Because even in the world of calligraphy, as such a unique niche space, the more calligraphers there are, the bigger the market becomes for all of us, and the more demand there is. So we have to look at it as a good thing. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yes.
in a nutshell, I don't really look at competition at all. I just like to make friends and colleagues in the industry, uh, and see how we can collaborate together.
Wow, that's wonderful, Sanjana. At when you are building something of your own, it's very difficult to cut off from it. You are always thinking about it. आप घर आ जाते हो उसके बाद भी आपको लगता है अच्छा मैं और क्या नया आइडिया ला सकती हूँ, मैं और क्या कर सकती हूँ. इस तरीके की चीज़ें चलती रहती हैं. But it's very important also to unwind, to cut off from your work. So, do you have any rituals that you follow every day, or do you have any specific things that you do to unwind because you are
Yeah,
building your hobby, you're working on your hobby, so what
yeah.
else do you do to unwind?
So the advantage and beautiful part about my business is that I converted my passion to my profession. The disadvantage is also that I've converted my passion to my profession. I feel, because exactly like you said, I'm like a lot of business owners obsessed with my business. And in the beginning, I wouldn't have it any other way because I think it needed that for me to be where I am today. It needed the obsession, it needed the dedication, it needed the 18-hour days for the first couple of years to do what I like, to be where we are today. And I was a very social person. I stepped out and I really took a backseat from social commitments a lot. And I got into my little shell where I was only focusing on work. But I think what happens organically is once you've gone through those couple of years, you can now come out of it taking a couple of steps back because systems are in place, the business is running, the team is there. Today I can take a step back and say, okay, I can leave office at 5:30 if I want to go play a game of tennis. I can go have lunch with my mom and come back if I want to. But 1 year ago I couldn't do this. I could never think of leaving, in the middle of the day. But I think after training the team, after making sure that okay, I've I've acknowledged the fact that this is not healthy for me. I need to change things. I need to change it a little bit to make sure that I have a team now and I need to learn to let go a little bit. Because as business owners, sometimes the hardest part is that you just don't want to let go. And we micromanage so much. So the idea of being able to let go is very important to scale and grow your business as well. And be okay with, the people around you taking a little charge as well. So I think I've learned that. It's my sixth year and I'm able to do it. And I know that calligraphy was my passion, but since it's become my profession, uh, it always just feels like play. I never feel like I'm working. That's why we keep going on and on and on and on. But apart from calligraphy, I play tennis. So I'm on the court 2 to 3 times a week. I enjoy my workouts. So I do boot camp or I go for CrossFit, or I do this workout called bar, which is really nice. So I'm constantly trying different kinds of workouts. I am social and I'm a very big foodie. So I love going out and eating out and catching up with friends for like a dinner, drinks after work. So I think now I've been able to get that balance where Monday to Friday we work, we're in the office. Saturday, Sunday, I try and make sure that my team or I are not working at all, unless, of course, it's a rushed thing or an emergency or something like a one off.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so that balance is very much required. और initially लोग कह देते हैं कि there is also this narrative, I would say, अभी जो चल रहा है कि if you are putting in so much work, कि जैसे आपने भी बोला you used to do 18-hour days, तो इसका मतलब है कि you are never happy with your work, or you have that perfection वाला syndrome. uh, you don't have work life balance, but what people fail to see is that it is required, at least initially. आप ये नहीं कह सकते हर किसी से कि आप कट ऑफ ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो because you have some issue with your mental
Yeah,
health.
yeah.
ऐसा नहीं
No,
है.
I agree. And I think, you know how people say that, oh, you have to work smart over work hard. I get
Mhm.
that, but I think that comes later. I think nothing replaces hard work. Nothing
Mhm.
can replace hard work. And in the beginning, you have to work hard. And there's no substitute to that if you're really trying to build something. And your
Mhm.
form of working hard can obviously be different for everybody. But I do feel like in the beginning, that hustle, that hard work is all important to, reach a certain level for sure. And of course, over time, you have to find that balance and everything.
And Sanjana, is there a mantra, is there a quote that you live your life by?
In fact, we have one up there in the office on a big frame. It says, "Dream, baby, dream," which is
Mhm.
basically we're always telling ourselves, just dream big. And if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not a big enough dream. So that's
Mm.
one thing we all love. And I think, there's also this Rumi quote which talks about, let the beauty of what you love be what you do. And I think I really like that as well because, for me, I was lucky enough to find something that I'm super passionate about. And that became my work as well. So I feel like if you truly love what you do, if you're passionate about it, and you're honest about doing good work, everything else will fall into place.
यस इट विल. और संजना, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके, और बड़ा इंस्पायरिंग आपकी पर्सनालिटी है. आपने बहुत अच्छे से आराम से बताया, मुझे सुनने में भी अच्छा लग रहा था आपको. एंड आई थिंक वी हैड अ गुड डिस्कशन. बट नाउ इट्स टाइम फॉर सैस इट अप, जिसमें आप मुझे ये बताओ वन ऑफ द सैसियस्ट थिंग दैट यू हैव डन.
As a project,
Anything from your life. It could be a very small thing. Maybe you went out without your umbrella. It doesn't matter.
um, okay, I can give you a few, and then you can maybe pick the one you like the best.
Mm,
uh, from a work sense, uh, okay, I'll tell you from so as a personally, I love traveling. I'm obsessed with travel and I love new experiences and I like stepping out of my comfort zone. So a couple years ago, I decided to do a 3 month solo trip, backpacking around Europe. And I had another friend from Bombay who also decided to do it, but we were doing our own thing. Um, and we were volunteering. I was volunteering in Budapest in a school teaching Hungarian kids English. And on the weekends, I would just backpack around Europe and stay in hostels, take a overnight train or a bus, and really rough it out. But had a blast. And we were in Vienna, and we were getting very late running for our bus, and we had no money left. We spent all our money that weekend, and we were running to catch this train. And we jumped onto the train. We had our big backpacks, and then this man comes to us and he looks at us and he's like, "Tickets." And I was like, "Oh, we don't have any tickets." And he was like, "Well, you have to pay a fine and it's going to be these many euros." And we said, "I'm so sorry. I have no euros on me. Please, can you let us go? We're missing our train. We're really late. We've spent all our money." And he just paused and he said, "Okay, if you give me a kiss on my cheek, I will let you go." And I have such a vivid memory of this. And this bus conductor, European man in Vienna, kneels down and makes us kiss him on his cheeks. And he's like, "Okay, go, get your train." And then we just ran. And I mean, just like that, I have some hilarious travel memories and stories of my time meeting people across the world, backpacking, staying in hostels. And I feel like they just add, just so much more to your personality and so many, even just stories, right, for like
Mm,
life. But
mm.
yeah, I would have never gotten on today, the version of me that's a little more proper. I would have never gone without a ticket on a plane and no money in my bag and kissed some bus conductor, but it was just so funny. So I don't know if that counts as a sassy story, but
But it's a very interesting story for sure. And how old were you when you did this? Were you
I
still a student?
was I was 21 or something. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense because अभी when we grow older ना we plan everything to the T तो ऐसा होने के chances बहुत कम हो जाते हैं.
Very, yeah. Yeah. But I have this like adventurous side to me, a slightly
Mm.
spontaneous side to me, where I'm okay to just do crazy things sometimes because I just feel like it just spices things up. It doesn't, keep things boring and monotonous. And uh, unlike some of my friends who do like to plan everything to the T, sometimes I'm just like, guys, forget it now. Let's just go with the flow. Let's just see what happens. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the entrepreneurial side of you actually.
maybe.
And in the end, Sanjana, please tell us all about the work you do and how can people reach out to you?
Okay, so essentially, I run a calligraphy and design studio. We work heavily in the luxury weddings, events, celebrations industry. So if people want to get any kind of invitation, stationery, design, printed, that's where we would come in. So we work with corporates, we work with luxury brands, we work with event planners, weddings, individuals. It's all by order. Another vertical of what we do is education because I'm also a calligrapher and I teach calligraphy and I teach
Mhm.
topics around the business of converting your passion to your profession. I've really enjoyed being an educator these years, and we've built a pre recorded online course called the Copper Plate Collective, which is for people who want to learn calligraphy at their own time and pace. And we have an online store which we're trying to build and grow and really get into the world of stationery as well. But this is like, high end luxury premium stationery. It's quite a variety of things that we do. But people can reach out to us. They can hop onto our Instagram, which is Bombay Lettering, or our website, which is bombaylettering.com, and just explore everything that we do. And I'm on LinkedIn under my name, so love to connect with people on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, so connect with Bombay Lettering Company on Instagram, on their website, or connect with, with Sanjana on LinkedIn. So, Sanjana, it was really lovely speaking with you. As I said earlier, I learned a lot from this conversation and I really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you for being on Little Fixes. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you, Maitri, for having me. And I really love everything that you're doing with the podcast. And I'm so happy to be here.